All right, so we talked about how to solve quadratic equations by factoring. Now we're going to look at how to solve quadratic equations by completing the square. Completing the square is a way of simplifying or solving a quadratic equation by adding an expression to both sides to make one part of the expression a perfect square. So how will we complete the square? Well, number one, we want to rearrange the equation so it looks like this. And we're going to do some. We're going to do some examples. X squared plus bx plus, and then the last term of the binomial that's on the right hand side is going to be, this is what we're going to fill in the blank. We want it to equal to the constant term. It says, note, if a does not equal to 1, meaning the leading coefficient to the first term, here we have x squared, we have to divide each term by a. And we'll look at an example of one of those. Number 2, take the coefficient of x, divide by 2, then square it. Add the result, I have an extra L here, add the result to both sides of the quadratic equation. Then we're going to convert the left-hand side of the quadratic equation into a binomial squared. And then last, we're going to use the square root property to find the solutions of the equation. So we're going to do all of this, and it's going to be quick. It seems like it's a lot of steps, but it's not. But let's look at how to take a binomial, how we're going to take a binomial and we're going to convert that into a perfect square trinomial. So here we have, it says determine the constant that should be added to the binomial so that it becomes a perfect square trinomial. Then write and factor the trinomial. So here we have x squared plus 4x. We want to convert this binomial into a perfect square trinomial. So what we're going to do here is let's rewrite x squared plus 4x, and let's put a box here because this is our third term. So how to find this third term? What we're going to do is take half of the middle term. Our middle term is 4x, but the constant term we're looking at. Take half of 4 and square it. So half of 4 is 2, and 2 squared gives us 4. So now we have a trinomial that's a perfect square. Remember, for a trinomial to be a perfect square, you want to look at the first and last terms, see if you can find two identical factors that would give you x squared, two identical factors that would give you this 4. And then we definitely want it to equal to the middle term. So this is a perfect, now we have a perfect square trinomial. So we wrote it out now. Let's factor. The first term, x and x. The last term, right, those factors, 2 and 2. The signs are going to be the same, two positives. Therefore, we have the quantity of x plus 2 squared. So we were able to take that binomial and make it into a perfect square trinomial. Let's do another one. We have here x squared minus 20x, and we want to convert this x squared minus 20x into a perfect square trinomial. So we're going to take half of the middle term, the coefficient of the middle term, half of negative 20, and square it. Half of negative 20 is negative 10. Square it, we have 100. Now we have a perfect square trinomial where this can be factored. Let's set up our template. X and X for the first term. Factors of 100 that would give us the 20 here. We have 10 and 10. The signs are the same, two negatives. And then we have x minus 10, x minus 10. Since they are repeating, we can write it as x minus 10 squared. And that is we were able to take this binomial and square it. Excuse me, make it into a perfect square trinomial and then factor.